Mr. Paul Brothers were going as he's sipping the coffee.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very appreciative of the mug branding because I'm left-handed. And a lot of the global news branding, it's only on this side for the righties. But you've got the HB on both sides, so when I drink from my cup, High Button Sports,
See,
HB.
I never thought of that, but I guess the both side does help. I never thought of that. That was, you got to be way closer to the mic.
Okay.
I remember on Vistaprint, some of the
Yeah.
most inexpensive purchases are mugs, believe it or not. They're more inexpensive than stickers, more inexpensive than like a keychain. Like a mug was like $3-4, and to brand it was $5. So that was like the first ever thing we ever had branded was those cups. That was actually back in Vancouver, I'm pretty sure. And we've held on to those. We moved up to the Yeti, but I remember those were our first ever branded thing.
Vistaprint tip for you.
Mm-hmm.
As a family man and a father of two now, I do a yearly calendar for the grandparents of my two kids.
Okay.
On Vistaprint.
Okay.
Never buy anything full price on Vistaprint. There's always a deal in there somewhere, especially a calendar.
Okay, good to know.
Around Christmas, early December, I'm a procrastinator, so I wait until the absolute deadline to get all these pictures in every month of both my kids for the grandparents for their Christmas gift. And every year, it's always like 50% off until December 9th. And I'm like, December 9th? Is it going to get here by Christmas?
That's good advice. The calendar, that's a very underappreciated gift.
And you know what? It's easy to do. It's a nice little template in there. And never buy anything full print on Vistaprint.
And
not even a mug.
I'm assuming every month you're allowed to put a custom picture?
You can put montages, Justin.
Oh, really?
Yes. Like 3, 4.
Interesting.
Yeah, as you know, for editing and producing, it's a painstaking process of what to leave in and what to keep and what to leave out. Right, Mark?
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you have kids and you're taking pictures of them
Oh,
all the
my
time.
gosh.
Your phone is probably just full of kids, isn't it?
And then a pandemic hits, and they're
Yeah.
home for like 12 weeks in a row with
Yeah.
nothing. So 2020 was a chore, but we got it done, and I paid like $11. It was great.
Were you one of these school dads? Apparently, if you have a kid at home and they didn't go to school, they had to teach at home. Were you in that boat? No.
My kids are young. My son actually turns 6 next week, so he was in daycare at the time, and my daughter is 2.5 now, so she was like 1.5.
Yeah.
And so it was just more like Lego. I'm like a Lego aficionado now. We've got so many Lego City sets. I think I counted, my son has now 37 Lego City sets, which when you were young and I was young and you were young, you just got to freestyle. You
Yeah.
got 1,000 pieces of Lego, you build a house or whatever. But now it's like custom Lego City fire brigades. The fire goes here and the building goes here. It's
almost like a
meticulous.
puzzle, but 3D.
Yeah. But my son is he's just unbelievable at it. So it's really cool to watch him to kind of grow up and play Lego.
What's the reaction to seeing their dad on TV?
They don't care.
They don't care. It's nothing to them. It's just
For a minute it was okay, but in the morning now my wife gets up with both my kids and they turn on Paw Patrol or Netflix or Disney Plus. Dad takes a back seat. It was cool for a day.
yeah, and then it's just back to normal.
Yeah. But the funny thing is that I go to pick up my son every day at 2:30 at school.
Okay.
And so we walk home all the time with these two kids, and their dads or something must watch the news.
Yeah.
And they rip these questions at me all the time. And I'm like, geez, I don't know that. And then this guy, Eric, who's like 9, he's like, but you're on the news. You know everything. And I'm like, no, man, I don't know everything. But anyway, those are funny kids. They've got some good acronyms for he's got one that he told me last week about math. And what was it? There's kids got. I'll think of it at some point. I'm tired right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do we got in front of us right now?
Okay, we are going to do the LF Bakery draft, gentlemen.
I'd say keep it on camera 3.
Yep.
Okay.
We're on 3.
Okay.
Because, of course, we'll probably get into the fact that I won this show like a decade ago called Drafted, which was like an amazing moment in my life, and it was fantastic. But anyway, that's long ago now. But this is the LF Bakery draft. There's a French bakery across from Global Studio.
Okay.
And they have the best baked goods in the city, bar none.
That's a heavy statement.
If you could do the scouting reports, I have. This is the almond croissant.
Okay.
Which this is like the Trevor Lawrence. Do you guys like football? Yep. Okay, this is like the Trevor Lawrence of the draft coming up here.
Wow.
The quarterback that's, he doesn't even need to do a pro day because he's going number 1 to Jacksonville.
He was in Vegas the night before the draft.
That's right.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So almond croissant. This one is the chocolate. It's almost like a petit pain de chocolat, they call it. It's like a chocolate croissant. There's chocolate in the middle. It was my early favorite when the bakery first opened. So this is kind of your stalwart. You're not going to go wrong with the chocolate croissant.
Okay.
It's already reached its ceiling. You know what you're going to get.
Okay.
Chocolate and bread.
It's a classic.
It's a classic. And then third, we have the raspberry beignet.
What's a beignet, if you don't mind me asking?
Interesting that you asked that, because I thought it was some kind of, weird French way to bake a dessert donut.
So it's a French donut.
It's a donut. No,
Is
it's,
it-
it's not even French. It's just raspberry donut. But it sounds so awesome when you say raspberry.
You could charge $4 more
beignet.
if you say beignet.
Right.
Okay.
So I don't know which one of you guys gets the first pick, but I'm going third because I've had all three of these. So
I'm gonna go chocolate.
So it's up to you. You're gonna draft chocolate.
I'm gonna go chocolate.
So that says that you'd rather go with what you know than the potential for greatness.
Yeah, the first overall picks, there's something, it gets to your head a little bit too much. It gets to your head, you sign the big contract,
Right.
you go into your first home opener, and maybe there's a little bit too much pressure.
Yep.
And not to, there's guys that deliver, but there's also a good percentage that don't.
Right.
And
You're right,
to
though.
play it safe on a chocolate's been around for how many years now?
A long time.
Centuries, like BC, like yeah, it's been a long.
He's your stats guy.
Well, he's everything.
Tell us, Mark, when was chocolate invented?
We're talking like mid 20th century, maybe.
I
It was
bet.
a new world creation.
Yeah.
No, but until the new world was discovered.
Okay, so I'm going chocolate.
Okay.
That's my bet.
Okay, all right.
So what do I do? I just grab it and I go for it?
Yeah, with the first overall pick in the LF Bakery Draft on High Button Sports, Justin selects chocolate croissant.
I like how you don't see the chocolate from the outside, so
Yeah.
it's a bit of a surprise.
And you know what? It depends on who's baking. Like, you might get a lot of chocolate. Baking, not bacon. But you may get a lot of chocolate or you may get not very much chocolate. So are you happy with your selection? It's a slow burn. If you're not going, if you know your ceiling, it's a slow burn. You
So,
might be on the bench for 3 years.
the first 10 bites, you get no chocolate, but then the last two, it's an explosion.
It's the Aaron Rodgers of the LF Bakery.
Yeah, that's well put.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. Okay,
You wait on it for a number of picks. You let it sit there for 3 years,
That's actually really good.
and then when it gets its shot, the chocolate hits you. Mark, do you want the raspberry donut or the almond croissant?
I'll take the raspberry donut.
Really? Great selection.
Thank you.
This is kind of the wild card of the three, is the raspberry donut. Or, because it went to an Ivy League school, that's the beignet, the raspberry beignet.
I don't know if I.
That's delicious.
Yeah, I don't want to risk getting sugar things all over.
Fair
the
enough.
food Here, so
I'm gonna go with the almond croissant, which has been my favorite for the last little while. Look at this thing. Is that
might bite into.
It looks like what
Mickey
are those
Mouse.
things that you throw and they come back to you?
boomerang?
A boomerang.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go.
Well,
Welcome
thank
to
you
the
very
Hot
much.
Button
This is
Sports
delicious.
Podcast. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Shout out to LF Bakery. Thank you.
When the reason I brought baked goods is because a few years ago we had Jonathan Torrens come on as a co-host, who's the nicest, kindest human being on the planet and the funniest man I've ever met in my life, J-Rock. Everyone knows Jonathan Torrens.
Yeah, I'll let you go.
Okay.
I got
So he came to co-host the show for Christmas one time. Pardon me for eating and talking.
Go for it. It's the best part of the job.
Yeah, and he came in, didn't know anybody, came in the studio, brought baked goods from a bagel shop across the McDonald Bridge in that
Oh, right on the left-hand side
Yeah.
there. I know exactly. Yeah.
fantastic
Kind of by the
bagels.
Sportsplex, but
Yeah,
right
yeah.
there. I know exactly. I don't know the name of it.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring these guys some baked goods. It's a great way to break the ice. And
Yeah. And it's a
Have
great,
it
it's a vet move. Every time, even if I go to a buddy's house just to hang out, it's like I try to bring a bottle of wine.
nice.
It's like a Tim's coffee.
Yeah,
That's why I ask when you come over, would you like a coffee? It's such a nice gesture. It's a maritime thing for sure.
it's just
You know, to be able to, yes, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to offer something, I'm going to sit down. If I go to someone's house, I got to be able to sit there for at least 30 minutes, have a coffee, and just get to know, how are you? Well, how's
Yep.
life doing? It's a very calming thing.
And I, when you sent me that text, do you want a coffee? I was getting ready to go get a coffee, and I was like, oh, he's offering me a coffee. I'll bring these guys some baked goods.
And I love when the person says, yeah. I always ask mostly every guest that comes over, like, you want a coffee? And whenever the person says yes, I get excited, because I usually have like a thing of coffee by myself, but now it's an excuse to have more coffee.
And when you have a French press like that, you know what you're doing, right? This ain't some drip coffee instant thing.
No, it's here. I remember my girlfriend and my mom, they love the espresso. What are they called? Nespressos, where you put the pod in, but it takes away the connection I find to the bean. You know, I love seeing the bean in the morning. I love putting it in. I love the hot water. I like the process of it. Some of those big Italian machines that cost like $30,000 to make a cup of coffee, like that's a little too, a little too much. But I like it. Coffee's a good part of my day, good part of my morning.
I love that you said that too. The essence of the bean is very big deal for me. Like no cream or sugar, nothing, just black coffee. And same with like alcohol and stuff. Have your drinks neat. Don't mix it with Coke. Essence of the bean, essence of the drink.
Good man.
Yeah.
So when did you find out that you were comfortable on camera and good with a microphone and good at talking to people?
It was a long time ago, man. How old do you think I am?
32. What? No good?
Way under.
What?
Yeah. Way under.
42.
Over. I'll be 40 tomorrow.
No way.
Yep. Tomorrow.
Wow.
Crazy.
This has the potential to be one of the greatest podcasts we've ever done with that statement. You're 40 tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Which, when people watch this, I'm 40 now. Hope it worked out.
No, this is going out today.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow. Okay.
I don't wait. I got nothing to wait for.
Well, I can say the date then. March 24th. I'll be 40 tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm 29. You're 39. You got 10 years on me.
Yeah. So it goes back to me. It's a long story, but I got my start in broadcasting in 1996 when a buddy and I started to do radio from our junior high school
In Newfoundland.
in Newfoundland, Bishops Falls, Newfoundland, at a place called Inglis Memorial High School, which is not even a school anymore. We
Wow.
were in music class, and I don't even know. I think it was my buddy Brian King who pitched this idea. We should do a radio station in the morning so that when you come into school in the morning, music is playing. There's DJs. Recess time, there's a music playing. Lunchtime.
Over the PA?
Over the PA.
Wicked.
And the music teacher, Mr. Race, who I haven't talked to in about 25 years either, he was on board with it. He was like, yeah, I can wire this up so the PA works and you guys can be... So we were called Eagle FM.
Wicked name.
Yeah. And we did the radio. And my dad knew the program director at the AM radio station, Kicks Country, in the next town over from us, Grand Falls, Windsor, Newfoundland, which is about a 10-minute drive from my hometown.
Okay.
And they caught wind of this and got me up for an air check when I was like, going to grade 10.
What's an air check?
An air check is when you come into a radio station and you lay down your voice for read something for 30 seconds
Oh,
like a
okay.
PSA. Like, High Button Sports is one of the most influential sports media broadcasting outlets in Canada. Our main focus is to put the spotlight on the athletic community and all it has to offer. High
Love
Button Sports, established 2017.
You nailed it. I'd hire you. That was great.
Brought to you by LF Bakery.
That's sick.
Yeah, so that's where I got kind of my start in radio, was before you even knew if I was any good at it or not. It was just like it wasn't a thought to it. That's what it was. And then someone decided that we should have a rotating team on Eagle FM. And a guy by the name of Terry Thorne, in his first broadcast, dropped an F-bomb.
Jesus, Mark.
That was it.
That's
Eagle
it.
FM was toast. That was the dream of...
So junior high.
that was still grade 9, yeah.
Dropping an F-bomb early in the morning.
But it was good enough for me to get from there to radio.
It's a step. That's all you need.
That's all you need,
You need a mic and a listener. That's it.
Yes, you need a break. That was kind of my break there. And from there, I had a dream to be a sportscaster. And
Was Bob Cole an idol of yours growing up?
Oh, big time.
You ever meet him?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Not as good as you'd think.
Can you talk about it?
Uh-oh.
What happened?
Oh, it was fine. When I worked at the score,
Yeah.
I was lucky enough and very fortunate to do a lot of wicked things when I was there for just 3 short years, which is crazy. But there was like 2 facets of the score, the TV side and the web side. So
Yeah.
they would send a TV guy, Cabby or
Oh, yeah,
Steve
Cabby was
Coolius. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would do like the actual news angles of the upcoming Saturday night game.
Yeah.
But the website needed someone to go to do the same thing. There was no real cohesion when it came to web and television. It was like butting heads.
Yeah, it's true.
For a national broadcaster, it was crazy.
Yeah, it's true.
But we're talking like 2011 now. This is 10 years ago. When when a lot of companies were like TV first, and now it's kind of like digital first.
Yeah.
It's been
100%.
reversed. And so I was lucky enough to get a Leafs media pass for an entire year.
Oh, get the
Favorite team, Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, like,
dude.
every Saturday morning, died and gone to heaven, just sitting there watching the morning skate, 10 o'clock. A 10-minute walk from my apartment.
You're making our listeners right now
I'm sorry.
drool.
Yeah. Do you guys add pictures and videos to this stuff, or is it
Yeah,
just
yeah,
straight
yeah,
up?
100%.
Because I've got pictures of the media pass just to...
Just like airdrop them to me after, and I'll post them all.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so one Saturday morning, you know, you're just hanging out in the Leafs dressing room, which is, again, small town Newfoundland. It never wears off that you're like, what the hell am I doing here? And in walks Bob Cole with the old salt and pepper hat, and I'm like, holy cow, whew, this is it. This is like your butterflies start to go. You're getting ready to meet an idol. Like, what do you say? Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I go over and put my hand out. You know, Bob, Paul Brothers, Bishops Falls, Newfoundland. I work at the score. Oh yeah, good to meet you, young man. You know, thanks for coming by and saying hello. And big game tonight. And I'm like, yep. Big game
Who are they
tonight.
playing?
I think it might have been. I want to say the Habs. Just
Yeah,
to make
I
you,
just say it. Just say the Habs.
just to make you more jealous. That was the Habs. And then I'm like, okay, what do you ask Bob Cole? So I'm like, always wanted to be a sportscaster. I'm here, Bob. Got my foot on the ladder here. What advice would you give to a young Newfoundlander who wants to make it in the business? He was like, I don't really have any advice to give you. I don't really give advice out, but, just keep doing what you're doing. And I'm like, all right.
All right.
Just keep doing what you're doing. There wasn't that
Yeah.
glowing, here's what you got to do.
Yeah.
But there was the meeting, and I could say that I shook his hand, and he's an absolute legend in Newfoundland and in Canada. I mean, oh, baby.
I think that's a great story. Even
Okay.
though he didn't give you advice, I feel like a lot of guys in that position don't really have advice because they don't just keep going. You look at yourself right now. Think about how many guys want your position and
Yeah.
where you are. What's your advice? Probably the same thing. Keep going. Keep your head down. Work hard.
Yeah.
I think that's
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself, and especially
Tacky but
that,
true.
especially that it was in the Toronto Maple Leafs dressing room,
It
like
was.
the mecca of hockey, the holy grail, right there. I think that's really cool.
But then for the next 5 years, you kick yourself man, I could have asked him something else.
Yeah, I know.
But
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I met him, I thought was amazing. Which there is a conversation. Should you want to meet your hero? Who's your hero?
It changes with age. When I was younger, it was Sid, but I find there's something about idolizing a local guy that lives right down the street that I'm not a huge fan of. He's just Sid. He's right down the street.
Yeah.
He's a I'm not saying we're equals, but he would never put himself above anyone else. He's a humble guy. He's just who he is. So I wouldn't say at this age of my life I idolize Sid. So I'd have to put it in a category of Larry David or Jerry Seinfeld, two of the funniest people in the world.
Amazing.
So I'd say those two guys. And yeah, there is a part of me that wishes one of them would come on the podcast, but there is also that factor of, do I just want to leave Jerry on the screen where I see him, every now and then, or do you really want to meet the guy? It's
Right.
I don't know.
Seinfeld would be awesome. Did you got his new book of jokes?
No.
Oh man, you got to
Good.
get that.
Funny, you want to hear a funny story about Seinfeld?
I want to.
So when he was here, he had how many years ago was this? Probably 2010, 11. He came here, Metro Center,
Yeah, it was
sold it
before
out.
I moved back here. It was before. Yeah, it was pre-2010 for sure.
Well,
Pre-2012, I mean. Pardon me.
so I worked at a hotel here in Halifax, but this wasn't while I was working here, but I worked after, and I heard a story about Jerry staying at this hotel. And he got there, I think, a day before his stand-up set at the Metro Center. And he was looking to do something. He was like, I want to do something. I'm in Halifax. I'm bored. What can I do? And his movie, the B movie, was premiering somewhere or being shown in a theater randomly at what's the one on Quinpool, the Oxford?
Yeah.
The Oxford. So what he does, he wants to go watch this movie, but with no one. So he asks one of the concierge, he goes, hey, can you call the Oxford Theater on Quinpool, book it out. I don't care how much it costs. I want no one in there. I want to be there by myself watching the movie. So the next thing you know, the concierge calling Oxford Theater, hey, Jerry Seinfeld's here. He wants to book out the Oxford Theater. He wants to be in there by himself. How much? I didn't get a dollar amount of how much it cost, but
Yeah.
rented it out by himself, sat there, watched the B movie, and rest is history.
Come on.
Yeah, kind of cool.
Yeah. So many people have little interactions with people of fame who come to Halifax like that too, like with the Rolling Stones came and they all go through the hotel. I'm sure there's a million hotel concierges you could have on this podcast to talk about
100%.
famous people that came through the Delta or the Marriotts and all those places.
100%.
I've got a funny Seinfeld this morning. You mentioned Seinfeld. A lot of my life always goes to Seinfeld because I love Larry and Jerry
Yeah.
as well. And the Jerk Store episode. You know that one, right?
Yeah.
The Jerk Store called. They're running out of you. So every time I do an interview and I don't ask a question, much like that Bob Cole thing, where you're you wish you had your time back to go back and say
Yeah.
that one thing. I had on It wasn't sports related, but it was the new president of the Conservative Party of Canada, Rob Batherson, was on. And I don't know if you guys are in the news or not, but the Conservatives are saying that they voted that climate change wasn't real, even though the leader says it is. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. But I should have asked a question that in hindsight I never asked. So someone on Twitter, of course, came on and was like, good interview, but you should have asked this. And I was like, I should have if I had my time back. Like George did, where he like turns the car around. Yeah, well, the drugstore called. They're running out of you. And then the guys are, you're their best customer. And then, of course, there's the crescendo with the, well, I had sex with your wife. And then
There's
George, his wife's in a coma.
There's so many moments like that in this job. So
Oh,
many. You're gonna
it's-
leave here today. I'm gonna be like, fuck, should have asked him this.
Yeah,
This is the way that the nature of the business. But that's why you come back for the second time, and then I ask you again.
exactly.
It always happens like that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the jacket you're wearing. First of all, is unbelievable.
Thank you.
But I want to talk about that whole process. I have a couple people that tried out for that. Like, was it at the mall? And where did you try out to become Gillette? What was it called? Gillette.
It was Gillette
Draft at the Score.
Pretty much.
Drafted on the score.
Gillette drafted on the Score.
Yeah,
And I had a couple of buddies that went to tryouts at the mall here in Halifax.
that would have been in later years. Yeah.
Okay, so what was it like for you? The process of that.
So the first one was 2009, I guess, and it was at the Red Stag Tavern downtown in the Keats Brewery.
Okay, yes, sir. Yeah.
And we had to go in and do a highlight pack on basketball. I forget what the basketball clip was now. It might have been March Madness, because it was around this time. Or NBA or something like that.
Okay.
But the big shots were down, like Tim and Sid were there.
No.
Yeah.
How many people showed up?
I don't know. My girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife,
Yeah.
she went and tried out because she's a big sports fan too.
Okay, cool.
So that was kind of
Support.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then you go in, you do like a 1 minute kind of almost like an air check, actually, from
Okay.
earlier in the pod here, where you do just a read over, like if you're watching, like catch George Springer and the Blue Jays on Sportsnet opening day, April 1st.
Yeah.
Holy cow, Kirby Yates needs Tommy John.
So they're looking for your enthusiasm and your
Well, yeah.
comfortability or something. Okay.
Basically, how can you read highlights, you know?
Okay.
And so you make it through the first round of that, you go back out, and then they say, okay, you've made like the top. They cut it down to like 10 or something from what I remember at that night. But it's all in the same night.
Whoa. So you find out if you make it or not in one
If
day?
you make it to like a certain round or something.
But is that next round
In
include
the same night. It was in the same
But
night.
does that include you going to Toronto? Like the next
No.
round, is that in Toronto? It's
Well,
still in
yeah, the
Halifax.
next round is in Toronto.
Okay, yeah.
But it would have been like later on down the line, because
Okay.
I think Halifax might have been the first stop.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then just go east to west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I made it through that like round of, once they get you in for the second round, you go, and I remember talking to Sid at one of the stalls at the Red Stag about like chicken fingers or something. It's like, you know, if you're doing a reality show, they talk to the guests who have potential just to get these little cutaways, you know?
Okay,
If
yeah,
you're showing a bit
yeah.
of potential anyway.
Yeah.
And so it was different for the first year than the other years, because you probably have buddies that tried out at malls and things, and then it became like a reality show where they flew you up and you stayed in a hotel and they were like barging in the hotel rooms. I'm thankful, because that's not my style,
Reality. Yeah.
that the first year it was all kind of online snippets. If you remember the score, it used to be a lot of just like cabbie on the street was like 2 minutes, and then it would come on again and
Yep.
a half hour later. And that's what they did with this show. So a lot of it like actually took place online. And so after I made that first cut, you get a call one day, like a month later. I'd kind of forgotten about it. And it's like Derek Snyder, who essentially became my boss after that. He was a big part of the score in its early days. He just called and said, yeah, we just did the Cross Canada tour for Drafted, and you've made the top 5, like of the entire country. There was no cut down regionally. It was like, boom. It's the 5 of you. You're in challenges now for the rest of the year, from like April until December. And they flew me up there like 3-4 times to do challenges and put you up in a hotel. But it was all, the thing I loved about it was that it was all about the sports and about challenges on, you know, how to go on camera, how to go off the cuff on the street. What do you know about this? Interviewing athletes. It was no like the reality side, you know, like.
The reality side, it's tough.
Yeah.
They ask you to pretend fake drama and things like
Yeah,
that.
and there's a lot of editing and cutting, and having gone through it as the host of it the following year, and then the year after going across Canada to be the, I guess essentially the face of it. It was a different show. But it also like churned out some pretty good talent. If you looked at a lot of like the 5 from the year that I made it, Andrew Fung made the top 5. He was one of the main guys on Kim's Convenience on CBC. Like one of the main actors on that show
Wow.
was in the final 5 of Gillette Drafted.
Wow.
Yeah. Sean Menard is another guy who was in the top 5. He's like a pretty big sports director now. He did the Netflix movie on Vince Carter.
No way.
Yeah. And he's got like a bunch of baseball ones. I think he might have done I don't want to say Vlad Jr. and Senior. He's got a documentary about baseball
That's awesome.
in the Dominican. Yeah, like unbelievable stuff.
Wow.
And then there's McIsaac, Andrew McIsaac, I think lives in Dryden. He works in radio. Jane Erickson is from Bedford. She's got a family now in Ontario. I'm not sure. She was like a Ford PR gal and like fantastically talented from Bedford.
Yeah.
So
It's crazy.
I haven't really kept up with them as much as I probably should have because it's been like a decade.
Yeah.
But just that first season, there was a lot. Like, even though you don't win, sometimes you get a break. There's a bunch of people who
100%.
probably tried out for that who are probably doing better things than we're doing right now. I don't know.
And you started a wave for sure because after that, I remember that because after that there was a reality setting of it, and at that time reality was so big. Like,
Oh,
that
it
was when
was
like
everywhere.
Keeping Up with the Kardashians was out, like just started. Like reality was so big, so finding personalities across Canada to try out for a sportscaster job was. I remember it was huge, and Cabby was probably the biggest sports figure
Yeah.
in Canada, bigger than maybe not Jay and Dan, but he was big. Like he was up there.
Big because he was different, right? He was doing
It-
stuff that wasn't normal sportscasting.
Yeah.
Like, didn't you put a mic in people's face at Mooseheads games and got going like differently
Yeah.
than other media? Is that how you got going with High Button?
Yeah, we did it with it was the basketball team here changes their name so many times. Was it the Hurricanes?
Yeah.
We did it with the Hurricanes, and this is back when we couldn't get like media credentials or anything. So we're like Mooseheads, we definitely couldn't have because there's security everywhere. But the basketball, there was not a lot of security or people. So if you did
Yeah.
have a mic and a camera, no one's really going to say anything. It's like, oh, they just must work for the team or something like that. So that's kind of how we, I guess, somewhat started was the street interviews and stuff like that. But
Hard worker though. Cab is a hard worker. Like he,
Oh, you have
he
to
would
be.
spend days and weeks on one segment.
have to be.
And I mean, I get emotional just talking about it. Him and Kobe were so tight.
Him in the back of the limo with Kobe in LA,
Him in the
trying to go to his
helicopter.
house in the helicopter.
Like I was working there when all that happened. The whole helicopter. Like I've been on road trips with the camera guy who shot that,
No.
and it's just like as soon as I heard the news last year about Kobe, I was like, oh my god,
That's-
Cap. I mean, the entire world.
Yeah.
But man, they shared a bond, and I think he was on a little like on TSN the same day maybe, and it was just like, oh, not to nosedive the podcast here, but it's just it
Yeah.
was incredible that connection that he had with an athlete of that magnitude.
That was I don't think it's I don't think it's appreciated as much as it should be at that time. That was a special moment in Canadian broadcast history. A Canadian sports figure to go down to Los Angeles to interview the best basketball player of all time, but it wasn't even an interview. It was just two friends having fun, knowing each other, shooting the shit. It was totally different. He's not there asking about his free throw percentage. He's just down there trying to get into Kobe's house and have a sleepover. You know, it's like it's just the most crazy different thing, and it was definitely inspiring. Not inspiring for myself at the time, but looking back when I first started High Button Sports, and you look back at like Jerry D at the Score, and you look at Cabby, and you look at some other figures around Canada.
Yeah.
It's like those guys are absolutely huge for myself.
I would say of the on-air talent that you would know on the Score, I would say the one I keep in touch with the most is probably Jerry D.
I'm sorry, there's the dogs upstairs. I got to do this. That could be the hats. We have a tenant upstairs, but she's a teacher and she has dogs. And every time someone walks by the house, the dogs bark. But the only way to get them to shut up is
This is awesome. Does this go on the pod as well?
yeah, of course. Why wouldn't it? That could be the hats.
What does that mean? The hats.
The guy
We have-
delivering the hats, you mean?
Yeah, the UPS truck. We have hats coming in for our summer merch.
Nice.
So the hats, the UPS said that they'd be here today, and whenever the UPS guy drops stuff up at the front, Sarah's here. So if they're here, they'll get her. Okay, sorry to interrupt you about Jerry D.
No, that was it. He's cool.
Yeah, yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Some of those things when he was behind the scenes with Air Canada Center, like talking to Brian Burke as he's trying to get into the room. That was some of the funniest.
Oh
stuff
my
ever.
God, Jerry D. Sports Reporter is just amazing. Which it was part of his shtick to be a jerk to us when I was on that show. But
Yeah.
behind the scenes, he was fantastic, and I've had him on now through Global, a couple times. Like I've actually interviewed more athletes on Global now in the last 10 years than I think I ever did at the score. It's like every trophy
Yeah.
has been through the studio. I've interviewed all kinds of athletes. Never Sid though. Or I heard Nate McKinnon was in this very seat.
That seat, but yeah, he was. He was here.
That's a big get, man.
Yeah, it was good. I was pumped on that.
How'd you line that up? Don't want to talk about it.
No, just connections. I was honestly through like a childhood buddy who's good friends with him, and he's just like, "Hey, Nate." I don't know. Yeah. A lot of moving pieces. Let's put it that way, but it happened, and very grateful
Takes
for
a
it.
lot to set stuff up.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do a lot of the own producing for our guests on our show, so there's a lot of wrangling.
The more I go into this business or this job, whatever it is, it's so much about relationships I'm finding. You know, if you know, would you really be here if Graham didn't recommend me as a good podcast host? You know what I mean? It's about it's about connections I find, and if you're a good person, you mean well, and good things will happen to you.
And that's one of the real fun parts of my career so far too, has been the relationships and the buddies and the I worked at Much Music for 3 years even before I worked at the Score.
Did you?
Yeah,
Dude.
yeah, ageless wonder over here. And
That's crazy.
But even AM radio back in Newfoundland, I remember I still got relationships you made from there. Like the work is one thing, but behind the scenes too is a whole different relationship as well.
100%.
Camera guys and studio people, and
Yeah.
it's awesome. And just you and I chatting right now.
That's kind of what I wanted to talk about, was not the competitive nature at the Score. Even I didn't know that Much Music. That's wicked. But it seems like I always found in a work setting where there's a lot of people shooting for one job. Even the job that you're in right now, in my opinion, it would be a competitive nature. Excuse me. You got to get the best article out. You have to have the best interview. You're always looking to be better. If you're, in my opinion, you're an artist. I'm an artist. You're creating something. People are watching it and they're happy. It's changing their mood. So that, in my opinion, that's an artist. And a great thing for something like myself and you is you're in a position where you get a salary and you're always able to become a better broadcaster. You're being able to be a better host because you have that availability to you. So I was always wondering what it's like to work for the Score, for Global, for Much Music, knowing that you're in a nature with other people going for the exact same goal, but at the same time you want to be friendly. You want to say, hey, how are you? How can I help? Well, what's that nature like, working with other people that are going after the same goal?
Well, I'll take you through 3 of my jobs. My current one, I've been here 8 years, so that could tell you something about the job security at Global. It's I've had fantastic job security in my position, which is one of the reasons why I came back, actually.
Okay.
Because of that job security and a guaranteed salary and a job instead of a contract.
Yeah.
At the Score and at Much Music, it was all 1-year deals. It was 1 year.
It's tough.
When I started at Much Music, it was 1 year, take it or leave it. And then you'd come around to the second year and it was like, all right, year number 2. But I hosted a show on Much called Going Coastal, which was kind of a niche show that came on Sundays for maritime bands to get some exposure, like Plaskett and Matt Mays and all those stuff. So there was,
sick.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And there wasn't a whole lot of competition for that job because I was the only one here doing it. And so from what Much could see up in Toronto, it was like, okay, we got this guy. He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
He's safe down there in the Maritimes. Just roll with it. Until 3 years later, Much got sold. CTV got bought out of the Much Music stuff, and the show got canceled. So boom, on your butt. Pardon me.
Okay.
Then you get to the Score. You win a reality show. You sign 1-year contracts again for dirt, next to nothing. Even though you're a Gillette spokesperson and now you're on national television. Well,
you're in the Leafs dressing room.
Well,
there's perks.
There's definite perks, but you got to work to get to those perks.
Yeah.
Day 1, you open the door and it's like, who's this guy who thinks he knows what he's talking about, right?
Yeah, go get me a coffee.
What the heck does he know? So there's definitely that, and especially at the Score, it was very, very competitive. Everybody there, even the producer wants to be on air. The editors want it. Everybody's got the end goal to be on, the Score tonight with Tim and Sid, or to get that FaceTime on TV. Whereas, where it is now, you can make a podcast and you're on right now. There is no kind of gateway. It's free for all right now. But 10 years ago, it was pretty crazy.
I never thought of that. There was none of this 10 years ago. The only way to get seen was through TV.
It was,
Yeah.
and at the Score as well. And I was getting there okay, I've got all these ideas, da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, no.
Yeah.
Cabby does that. You can't go in and just randomly off the cuff talk to athletes. Cabby does that. Or you can't do something different around a sports highlight that's non-traditional. That's what Tim and Sid do with their plays of the week. That's not you. So you're just gonna
You need approval from someone else.
Exactly.
And
And not only that, but when you work at a national sports station, pretty much everybody in the building knows more than you about sports. Like, you're guaranteed the producer and the editor and the guy who's lining up the show
Yeah.
is like a savant in sports knowledge. It's like insane. Like, Mark probably knows way more than both of us right now about
100%.
sports.
That's a good reason why he's here.
Exactly. So you've got that, like,
Yeah.
on top of the fact that, there's nowhere near getting a sniff of television unless you kind of prove it. So once you earn that respect from within the building, which is no different than being on a hockey team or something, I guess. You played hockey. You gotta kind of earn the respect of your teammates before you get the C or the A or the top line or what? Is there a comparison there or no?
Maybe a little bit for ice time, but once you make the team,
Ice time?
once you make the team, it's a pretty even playing field of respect between your peers. But the ice time thing is definitely in order to go to the next level with hockey, you need to be able to prove yourself. But in order to prove yourself, you need to be on the ice to prove yourself in different situations: power play, even strength, penalty
Right.
kill. There's different scenarios where you need to prove yourself, but you can definitely relate that to an office setting where I want to prove myself by interviewing people on the street. I want to prove myself by going over highlights. There's definitely elements that you can relate it to for sure. But you look at guys that were on the Mooseheads Memorial Cup team that got 60 points because they're playing with Drouin and McKinnon. But those guys that now have 60 points, those guys are going to go further in career because their stat line's higher because of other guys.
Like Marty Firk you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Marty Firk's in the NHL right now. I'm not saying that he wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Nate and Drouin that year in Halifax, but it definitely gave him a little bit of a trampoline bounce
Of course.
to go to Detroit and work a little bit more. So it's somewhat relatable for sure, but the competitive nature is still always there.
Yeah.
You still want to be better.
Well, at a sports network, especially the time I entered the score, which it was in a transition anyway.
Yeah.
From like Cabby left a short time after I got there. Tim and Sid lost their gig on television and ended up starting a podcast, which was like, what the hell's a podcast?
Yeah. What year was that?
Like 2011 or 2012?
No, that's definitely what the hell is that? 2012? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were like the OGs in this stuff.
Yeah.
And it launched them into the Sportsnet show and where I guess Tim has got his own show now, and Sid has gone off to breakfast television, morning
know.
TV,
I know.
stealing my thunder. But I remember it was this odd transition where it was like outside of a couple people, there was like, it's up to you, man. You're in it for yourself here. Like,
Yeah.
we're at the score right now. You got to have your bulletproof vest on. You got to have your machetes at the ready. Like, you got to go, it's all about me, or you ain't getting anywhere. And I'm like, that is not my style. That is not my style. So what I just kept doing was saying yes to everything. They were like, okay, you want to do sports highlights during horse racing at Woodbine? Yep. Monday and Wednesday nights, 7 until 9 p.m., Bet Night Live with Paul Brothers doing sports highlights. Like my Uncle John in Corner Rook was like, saw you on the sports highlights? Like, on horse racing. Not exactly Hockey Night in Canada. What are the ratings for horse racing? And so from there, that's how I kind of got on television, was just saying yes to that.
Yeah.
And then they put me, because they never had a spot for me at all when the show like ended and I showed up to work, it was like, what are you going to do?
Is there ever a point where you almost have to create opportunity for
Well,
yourself?
exactly. There was nothing. Like, there wasn't even in the contract, if you read the fine print, there was no even contract that I had to appear on television.
Really?
Nothing. So they put me in the web department. And I was just lucky that Derek Snyder, who kind of was one of the main producers of the show, drafted him and his pal, James Sharp, who's a fantastic editor, probably still with CBC now on Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah.
They were like, you come in to web with us. Like, don't worry about television, the fame, and the fortune, and getting your face out there. Like, you can have that, but you can come with us, and you can do all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And you can have a lot of really awesome stories and experiences. Are you going to be cabbie on the street in 5 years, where you can't go anywhere and have the fame of it all? Maybe not, but
Yeah.
that's where the coat comes in.
It's a coat.
Yeah. So when I worked on thescore.com,
Texas.
yeah, I wore the coat because it's a conversation piece.
It's a big conversation.
It's a big
You can't get that coat anywhere.
You can't. One of a kind.
Okay, keep going.
So I'm working at the web department at the Score, and there was a show that used to be on called Branded, which was like behind the brands of athletes. Like if an athlete was like Sid with Gatorade,
Okay, yeah.
You know, like we go behind the scenes of Sidney Crosby's shoot at the Halifax Forum with the
Oh,
Gatorade commercial.
That's sick.
And then there's the cutaways, and not that I went there, I'm just using that as an example.
Well, I'd watch it if it
It'd
was
be
a show.
fantastic. Yeah, you should go now. And so through this show, Derek was like, I'm going to take a back seat. You can be the new host of this online show.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, that is huge. So you just need someone to kind of take a shine to you, really. Right?
Yeah.
You need that break.
Yeah.
So long story short, I got to go like around America and Canada doing these cool branded segments, one of which was for Nike. So I'm in my desk one day. Picture this now. I'm on my desk at a Tuesday morning or something. And he comes in and he's like, Nike football is unveiling a new cleat for the NFL tomorrow. Cowboy Stadium, Dallas.
Tomorrow, like the next
Next day. And this was like 9 o'clock in the morning or something.
on a whim traveling. Love it.
Yeah. No family, no kids, girlfriend, now a wife.
You're a free man.
Free man.
Yeah.
Your age.
Yep.
And not that your next 10 years is going to be awful for you, nothing but.
I got nothing to do.
So he's like, Nike and my ethics professors at King's College and Algonquin College, cover your ears. But Nike would pay us, me and a camera guy. So Nike's going to pay you to fly down to Dallas, cover this event, the unveiling of the cleat, and then fly you back like 2 days later. And it was unbelievable. So me and a camera guy who's from the Goulds, Newfoundland, Ryan Stratton.
Two Newfoundland boys
Oh,
going to Texas,
yes!
getting flown up
Like,
by Nike.
this is-
Unreal.
This is insane, right? First class flight direct to Dallas, which is only 3 hours from Toronto, which I never knew.
Really?
Yeah. So you land in Dallas, someone picks you up, brings you to the Ritz-Carlton Hotel.
It's Nike, first class.
Nike,
They're
man.
giving you hot towels everywhere you go
It
to
was
wipe your hands.
insane, Justin.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
Then the driver comes, takes you to Cowboy Stadium. Not even open yet. Like the big new Cowboy.
new one.
The new one.
How many years ago was this?
This was 2011 or 12.
Okay, I don't know.
This was like when the Cowboy Stadium, the big Jumbotron in the middle was all the rage, like
Yeah.
Jerry World.
Yeah.
So I get there. And we fly down that night that he told me we're going. We flew down there.
Awesome.
So the next morning, we wake up and go to this press junket for this new Nike cleat. Pardon me, the dogs are barking. Thank you. And so, you know, one morning I'm at the Score in Toronto, 370 King West. The next morning I'm inside at the 50-yard line standing on the Star at Cowboy Stadium, getting ready for this crazy multi-million-dollar unveiling of a cleat. And all we are responsible for is 1 3-minute video for thescore.com. That was like, and it could be done 2 weeks down the road. So, enter the coat. There's
Yeah,
like
I'm waiting for the coat.
yeah. So there's a function after the event,
Okay.
and journalists who covered the event, well, I guess what you'd call them now would be influencers. It was a lot of like what you would say would influence bloggers,
Okay.
podcasters. At that point, I guess there was no Twitter really.
So it'd be like New York Times people?
No,
like,
not even that. Just kind of niche like lifestyle guys, and girls as well.
Okay.
No doubts, if you were in the pipeline, you'd have went, kind of thing. High button sports, come on, it's crazy.
It's
So-
not. I'll get into that later.
Yeah,
You go.
Yeah. So then it says like, okay, thanks for coming to the event. You now have 15 minutes to design your own coat on this laptop from Nike. I'm like, okay, and this pair of sneakers. So I'm like, okay, Nike ID. I design a pair of sneakers in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then there's these coats, and it's all like slogans of high school football teams in Texas. Because if you don't know, high school football in Texas is crazy. They've got it set up. Friday Night Lights High School, Saturday College, Sunday NFL.
It's a religion.
It's religion, it's
Yeah.
culture. So it was all slogans and logos of like high school football teams around Texas. So I have no idea what this means, only that it's Texas. I have no idea what this means, only that it's Texas. Does this coat swivel? Or
Yeah,
this-
yeah, you go back, yeah. I can't see it, though. You got to stand up. Watch the headphones. Fight my brothers. Did you come up with that, or was
No,
that
it was like it was templates of slogans, like fight songs from high school colleges in Texas.
Fight my brothers?
I don't know. But I was like, that's my last name.
Oh, yeah.
Click. I gotta
Wow.
get Fight My
Smart.
Brothers.
That's sick. That is sick.
And then I totally forgot about that 10 minutes in my life where I designed a Nike Destroyer coat. And like 6 months later, my wife was like, some parcel showed up from Texas, and it was this coat.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And those are the reasons why you're addicted to this job that you do. Because
Exactly.
on the whim moments like that
Yeah.
that come to your fingertips and you're like, what? Okay, let's go.
And I don't know if you follow football or not, and not the name drop, but I interviewed Clay Matthews,
No way.
and Ndamukong Suh, Steven
way.
Jackson, Felix Jones, Dwayne Bowe
At this event,
at this event. Yeah, you just get like 2 or 3 minutes with these guys to talk about.
that's all you need.
Yeah, but what I would do is like making something out of nothing, trying to get your name out there and stuff. I created this little segment called like 3 minutes or less.
Okay.
So we're like, you did an interview with someone, maybe it was 2 minutes or less. But you just rip rapid fire questions at them for like 2 minutes. So I would do like, tell me about the Talon cleat, get the
Yeah.
business of the day out of the, Nike's all happy. You talked about the cleat, and then like, so like, geez, you're like 6'10", man. How many eggs do you eat for breakfast or something?
Yeah. You get the bullshit questions out of the way, and then you
Yeah.
get to the good stuff.
Yeah. You do the business up top and the party at the back, like
Yeah.
a mullet.
Yeah.
The mullet interview.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
Like, it just, oh man, that's why I just can't wait for COVID to be over. Just be able to do things. There's been so many opportunities. People in America don't believe in this COVID thing. Like, there's been opportunities where people have said, "Hey, do you want to come down and mic us up in Oklahoma girls high school soccer team?" And it's like, I would, but there's kind of a pandemic that's going on right now.
Yeah.
But those on the whim trips, perfect example. Mem Cup. What was it, 3 years ago now? 2 years ago now? We had no business being in there, but we somehow got in.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing you know, I'm sitting there at the Mem Cup final between Halifax and Rouen. Like I said, no business being there, but
Yeah.
somehow I get to sit up in the press box with NHL scouts and go through this. It's like, it's moments like that
Yeah.
it's like, there's experiences that maybe you could go get another job, make tons of more money and do other things, but those experiences are priceless to me. The stories that you get from those experiences are just it's
You could
all
write
I
books
need.
about that,
It's
like
all I
fish out of
need.
water stuff,
It's
right?
all I need.
Yeah.
I've
I've got 100 of those fish out of water stories. It's like, another thing I did was, again, with this web department, it was like, they didn't say no to anything. So I was like, what if we did a segment where we talked to goalies about the artwork on their mask?
cool.
And the editor, James Sharp, it was probably his idea to call it face paint, which was an awesome little 5-minute segment on goalie masks. So I interviewed like pretty much every goalie known to man about the artwork on their mask, like Luongo, Marty Brodeur,
Wow.
like everybody in the league.
Where was the? Did you call in? Like,
No,
how did
I
you
would
meet?
go. I would have that Leafs media pass.
Oh man! So you just wait for the teams to come.
Yeah, while the Toronto media, which everyone knows the Toronto media are like
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
we'd be like, Toronto media, Leafs, nah, we're gonna go talk to
Yeah.
Brodeur about his face mask.
Yeah.
Which is different for a goalie. It's like, well, I don't talk on game day. Almost every goalie in the league doesn't talk on game day. It's like,
Really?
yeah, Marty doesn't talk on game day.
Yeah. Goalies are weird.
Exactly. Which is why there's such a unique position.
100%.
But I would say to the PR guy, like, we're not talking about the game. I'm just talking about, we're doing this segment on the inspiration behind the artwork on their mask. We give a shout out to the designer. 5 minutes max. We won't take up too much of his time. And they'd be like, okay, well, I'll ask him after practice. So they'd come in from the morning skate, and it's like, yeah, Marty, we got... And he'd look at me, and okay. And it's like, holy cow,
Different questions.
no, I'm interviewing Marty Brodeur about his
Yeah.
goalie mask. So that was cool.
That's the gateway. Anyone listening, that's the gateway to get. Part of the reason why I think McKinnon came on this podcast was because I didn't really ask him any questions about. Ask him about his life, who he is,
Yeah.
what makes him addicted to the sport of hockey. Not about his 10-game winning streak or his 4-game losing
right.
streak. I don't give a. I've played hockey for the good portion of my life. I know every answer.
Right.
I know exactly what people are going to say when it comes to the athletic side of at least hockey. But I think that's the gateway to get any person that you want to be able to talk to is just ask unique questions,
Yeah.
out of the box questions, and that's how you get through to people
Yeah, exactly.
because you actually care about the person rather than the profession. Because if you're anyone, and you see someone's profession and what they do, it's pretty obvious what they do. I know what you do. I see you on TV every day. I know you're great at your job, but who's the man behind
Right.
that TV? Who's the man behind that interview? That's what I'm fascinated with, and I think that's a great solution to anything you want in life. Just think differently, be outside the box.
Yeah, you're not wrong there, and that's why I think this medium, the podcast medium, like Spit and Chicklets and all those things, has really like pulled back the curtain on athletes just being robots.
Yeah.
And some people don't like it, and some people do, but
Yeah.
there's definitely an appetite for a little bit of fun about people outside of the stats. and all that
100%.
stuff.
If
There
you
was
were, if you, sorry, you go.
I was going to say another one I did was called Closers as well, where I had a Jays media pass, which is also insane, and I hate to
Rogers.
bring up all this stuff.
Oh man, I love it. This is, dude.
Okay.
You're taking me back.
I don't talk about it with anyone. My kids are 6 and 2, man. I don't have any friends.
Dude, stick around all day. I got nothing to do today. Don't talk away.
And so we pitched an idea called Closers, where I talked to closers about their walk-up music.
Great question.
And just about memories from like how do you close a game, man? Your job is to sit there for 3 hours, and when the game is on the line, you got to come in and get 3 outs. That's like an insane. I'd rather be a fighter pilot. It's insane.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. And closers are very much like goaltenders too, where you've got to have a unique kind of personality.
You're an individual.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a psychological more than a physical aspect of the game. You're in your own head sometimes.
Yeah. And then there was one more where I was like, I loved NFL football. And it's like, how can I get to NFL games using this job that wasn't, like, tell me about the game. So we came up with this idea where I would go to tailgates in NFL cities and then like compare the culture of the tailgate to the success of the team. So like Buffalo.
Buffalo, yeah.
Buffalo was so close to Toronto. So we would go to Buffalo, and I wouldn't go into the stadium to interview the players. I would go out in the parking lot and talk to the people of Buffalo, jumping through tables and like throwing cans at Dolphin fans. It's like, District 9. I don't know if you're talking about it.
Yeah,
It's insane.
I've seen it.
And then you'd go in after the game, and I got to like watch Buffalo games in the press box, and then go after the game and talk to the Bills players, not about the game, but about the tailgate.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, hey, J.P. Lossman, who was like, Buffalo had a lot of bad teams.
Yeah.
When I was working in Toronto. And it'd just be like asking players about tailgate. Like, what do you think about the fans out there? And I did Buffalo. I did Cleveland, which was insane. I did Pittsburgh. I did Michigan, University of Michigan.
Sick.
Yeah. University of Oregon.
When you went to Michigan, was the stadium packed at the game? How many? 100,000 people?
Yeah.
Was it packed?
Oh, yeah. It was like
Wow.
113,000,
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been the most people you've seen in one place ever.
I would say. And it went to overtime.
Would they-
Michigan against Iowa.
Wow. Is that a rivalry?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Big
still.
Ten, yeah.
Wow.
I've been back. I actually had a cousin who played hockey at Michigan, which is a
No way.
crazy roundabout story, yeah. But he's an alumni, so I've been back one other time to watch Michigan, Ohio State at the Big House. Unbelievable.
It's I want to be able to go see a college. I don't really NFL, sure, but oddly enough, I really want to see a college football game. Maybe in Texas too. Somewhere down there. Even high school.
You got to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Just go down to.
Which I've done that story as well. Like we went to a high school game on a Friday night of which a high school game in Nova Scotia, I don't know, Citadel or whatever.
Citadel versus the West or something.
Parents and family members watching high school football in like Ohio. It's like thousands of people here for a Friday night high school football game. It's insane.
Wow.
And then Saturday you wake up and you do the tailgate for your local university,
Yeah.
Ohio State or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Sunday you got your NFL.
My plan is whenever I do get married, that's where I want like the bachelor trip to be. Somewhere in the States where it's a sports friendly town, some baseball, but that college football swing and be able to go see just sports for a week or a long weekend or something. That's my plan.
So this is my last one about the fish out of water. You like wonder how the hell you ever got here. We go to cover Ravens Steelers Sunday night football for this tailgate story
In Pittsburgh?
in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Sunday nighter, like rivalry. Ravens Steelers, big band, Joe Flacco. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
So you do your prep work. You've been to media pass places where it's like come here at box office, get your media pass, da 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 da. Usually we don't get any access to anything. So we go to Pittsburgh. We do some of these tailgate interviews with the fans. It was fantastic, like under overpasses. Fantastic sports city.
Yeah.
Have you ever been?
I've been to Pittsburgh. Saw Crosby playing the Melon.
See?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh is amazing.
Yeah.
And so we go to the box office. Scott Winters, who's from Lunenburg, who's now one of the main camera guys on Hockey Central Saturday.
Okay.
Another
Didn't
good
know
East
that.
Coast. You got to have your East Coasters with you when you're doing these crazy epic trips.
100%.
So he was doing the camera for me from Lunenburg, and I go to the box office, and it's like press pass, field access, Steelers, Ravens. I'm like, holy shit, Scott, look, we're like field access. We can get on the field for the game. So you got to walk in like you own the place because
Got to.
you thought I was 32. They probably thought I was 17 at that point. Like, I wasn't wearing a suit and tie. So we go in, and like before you know it, we're like on the sidelines at Heinz Field.
Was Aaron Andrews there by any chance?
No, it was a Sunday night. It was Michelle Tafoya.
Okay.
So Michelle Tafoya's out there on the sidelines doing the Sunday night broadcast, and like Big Ben and the gang are like running out of the tunnel when the terrible towel is going. There's like 60,000 people. It's like the craziest environment of all time, and there's this big tall guy standing next to me, and he's got a Steelers jersey on, and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going, man? Nice to meet you. You know, I'm Paul. There's Scott," and he's like, "Okay, how's it going?" This guy must be like 6'10" or something, wearing his Roethlisberger jersey. He got his towel on. So what I didn't know is that every week they have like a celebrity that comes out and waves this towel to get the fans riled up.
Awesome.
And so this tall guy is this Joe. He's got a really long name. He was in that vampire movie. He's married to Sofia Vergara.
Come on, Mark. Joe, did he play for the Steelers?
No, he's an actor. Like major famous actor. Joe, not Pantalone, but he's got a really long last name. And he's been in a vampire movie. We'll have to look it up to see.
Okay.
Anyway, he's got like a million. I'll search it. But anyway, he's like, okay, I got to go. And I'm like, all right. And then he like, ladies and gentlemen, from the movie True Blood, here's Joe Pantolione. And he like walks out and he's like, and I'm like, holy Jesus.
That's amazing.
This is crazy.
That's sick.
And then they're like, I was like, okay, we're watching the game on the field. This is going to be great. And then someone comes and is like, no. This is just pregame and postgame. So we go upstairs, and I get to my press box. My camera guy couldn't even come up.
Why not?
He had to go down below. They get the shaft, camera guys, when the game starts. They go down in the bowels of the arena.
Okay.
Which I tried my damnedest every time to get him up there. But anyway. So I go up to the press box, Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
And like Bob Costas is in the elevator when I go up. Insane. I go to my seat, and it's like obstructed view. It's like a pillar that's like 6 feet wide. I can't see around the pillar. I'm like press box media man number 155.
Yeah, exactly.
Of 155.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like watching the game.
You're like at the
The
forum.
worst possible seat in the house. Like obstructed 100% view. But then halftime hits and the buffets at NFL press boxes are amazing. So I'm like in the buffet line with Mike Wilbon
Wow.
of PTI, just standing there. And it's like, this is just absolutely nuts.
It's probably just another Sunday to him.
Well, yeah, this is just another Sunday night. Jeez,
Yeah.
Did you try the veal bob? Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Mashed potatoes again. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, this is a once in a lifetime. I'll be telling this to my grandkids. My buddy Scott still texts me all the time, like, Pittsburgh. That was crazy. But
Yeah.
anyway, there's just stuff like that that was like absolutely unbelievable.
Love it. You're
Yeah.
getting me going right now. You're just getting me going. You're getting me going.
Yeah.
We had a similar story when we were up in Fenway for the Red Bull crashed ice.
Yeah.
No business being there once again. I called up Red Bull. It's like, it's all day, just grinded.
Yeah.
Like Red Bull UK, Red Bull Canada, Red Bull America. You're just calling anyone to try to get through to get some media passes. And you get a no, you get a no, you get a no, you get a no. But then a week before, get an email from the PR representative from Red Bull America that does the crashed ice events, because I dropped there's a couple Maritimers from around here that are in this event. One guy from New Brunswick, two guys from New Brunswick.
There's
I
a
think.
Roxol or Roxol.
Yeah, but he's from Ontario, but
is
he
he?
does
Roxol.
LTD, that clothing company. But we have a good or maybe nonetheless, we have a good relationship with a couple guys in there that are from Canada.
Yeah.
So that's my pitch. Look, there's maritime presence here. I'm the maritime representative for I just bullshitting her. I need to come.
Of course.
So, we're getting no's. A week before, hey, I'm going to see what I can do. We didn't get a yes. Like, hey, I'm going to see what we can do. I'm going to talk to someone and we might be able to get you a couple passes. And you know how you go when you go to these events, you need a maritime partner in crime. It's like I had my partner in crime, Matt Doodle, who's with me, camera guy, same thing.
Yeah.
So we find out maybe 3 days before that we get the okay. Fenway, all access, drive up to Boston.
Yeah.
We're there. Unbelievable. We get there. We're there with ESPN reporters. You got to remember, like, this is 2 years ago. So
It's fresh.
just you got to understand, like, we're new to the game.
Yeah.
ESPN reporters, I think Sportsnet was up there. There's a couple big dogs. And we're up in the Fenway media box right behind home plate. Like all the way up at the top there. We're looking down. We're with some of these media guys. We're wearing these bright red high-button vests. So we stick out like sore thumbs, and we're poor. We have no money, but same thing with the food. So the food's there, and we're just everything you can imagine. We're just eating. We're doing everything. And I just remember that being like, okay, if I can do this, almost anything is possible.
That's right.
Anything is possible. If you want to be able to get into an event, you just have to. You can't quit. And that was another factor. It's like I'm never gonna quit this. If
Yeah.
that's all it takes is just everything you have, I'll do it.
And
It's-
like if you can use this brand as a vehicle to get those experiences.
100%.
If you don't have family commitments and things like that, like the way PR people are the gatekeepers, man. If you can talk to PR people, the right person, to tell them, here's what you do, here's what we want to do, be on the level, don't be an idiot when you get there, you can get a lot of great experiences. And it's whether you're a podcaster or a blogger,
Yeah.
and if you want to do that, you can certainly do it.
Well, I
You
was
might
gonna-
not have a great pension, but you'll have
Yeah.
some great stories.
We have some great stories. Absolutely. Just keep doing it till you're dead, and
Yeah.
then you don't need a pension. You get paid the whole time.
That's right. Why stop?
Yeah.
Retirement's overrated.
If you were 19 right now,
Not 39 for one more day.
yeah, what are you doing? No, not 19. Let's say
19.
yeah, you're out of high school. You're just leaving high school.
Yeah.
You
So
know
I
you have
would
the
be-
you know you have the passion for this.
Yeah.
But you know that there's different avenues in order to get to your end goal. I don't know what your goal is, but
So for me, now I say that I'm almost 40. You got to have a plan B for some things. But when I was 19, there was no plan B. I was going to be the first sportscaster from Bishops Falls, Newfoundland on national TV.
Uh-huh.
And I researched sportscasters who the best way to get to where you want to go is find out who else has been there and follow that similar path. Because someone's done something that you've done. I'm not sure if you've done that with how to launch this whole thing, but I kept searching for sportscasters across Canada. How did you get to where you are? Where'd you go to school? They all started in like AM radio. I'm like, okay, I've already got that on my belt. I've done some AM radio. I've done some FM radio in the summertime. Now you need the education aspect of it all. So I'm like, where did TSN guys, Sports Center guys, go to university? Forget Memorial University of Newfoundland. Nobody went there and went to TSN. There's no path. Ryerson. I'm like, all right, radio and television arts, Ryerson. You look up sportscasters, almost every single person in Canada went to Ryerson.
we got an intern here right now that goes to Ryerson.
No
He's doing,
way!
Well, because he can't go back to Toronto because he was stuck here, so he's doing his internship here.
Did you do an RTA? Radio
At
television
Ryerson,
arts?
I think so. Yeah, is Jeff doing that?
It's like the television program.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this
yeah,
is
yeah.
the one. This is like, for me, it was the golden standard. I have to go here.
Okay.
So I apply. I'm in grade 12. I got pretty good marks. I'm like an 80 student. I apply to Ryerson. There's a pretty rigorous essay you got to write. You talk to them. I get in the mail one day. My dad is like a hardcore sports fan. So he was like, your letter from Ryerson's here, son. Pulls up lunchtime, Leo Burke Academy, rip it open, reject it. Didn't get in. What the F do I do now? So I took a year off at university and worked on an AM radio station in Gander, Newfoundland for a year. I just went to work. Just got a job doing country radio.
Just getting experience.
Just getting experience. Which, by the way, on my first morning, I slept in. And the boss was waiting for me with Timmy's in a strip mall in Gander. Imagine.
Did you slide your job after?
Not for very much longer. There was a company merger, and I got bumped at 19. And
Brutal.
so from there, then you got to have a plan B because plan A was not happening.
Okay.
So I went to Memorial University with the goal to get a 4-year BA and do the 1-year Ryerson program in radio and television. So I'm halfway through my BA at MUN.
Mm-hmm.
They canceled that 1-year program at Ryerson. Can't do it anymore. So I'm like, now what the hell am I going to do? So I kept working on radio in the summer, and I got my Bachelor of Arts from Memorial, and then I did some more research on where people went, and I actually emailed Dan O'Toole.
No way. That's how you got to do it.
Yep, and I said, here's where I've been. I got some of the experience on radio. I need to go somewhere else out of Newfoundland. And he was like, well, I went to Algonquin College. So I went to Algonquin for a television course there. And Dan said something to me that still sticks with me as well. It's you got to learn how to fly the small plane before you can fly the jet. So he's like, stay there, fly your Dash 8, get some experience. Education will come, and then you can fly the bigger plane, which I'm still not sure if I flew a big plane yet, but, man, I've had fun flying a lot of the smaller ones.
Yeah, I think you're in a big plane right now. I think so.
For where I'm in my life right now, yeah.
Yeah.
I just like being, myself. If I can be myself, you're being yourself right now,
Yeah.
I can be myself on TV. I mean, I've got to get serious and read the news, but
Serious.
you also can just talk about your kids, and that's where I'm at in my life right now. But 19, that's where I was. What are we, March? 19th birthday? I don't want to, well.
That's why I was late for work.
Well, my 19th birthday, which I celebrated at Acadia, because I was up here on a trip. I'm not sure what I was doing here. This had nothing to do with my career, but my buddy went to Acadia.
Oh, yeah.
Where'd you go to school? Anywhere?
NSCC.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much it.
Mark, you?
2 degrees. Sorry.
Attaboy. Where?
The St. Mary's Political Science and the 1-year journalism at King's.
Attaboy. I did the 1-year journalism at King's.
Really?
Yeah. That's where I finally ended up and got a piece of paper that got me where I am.
Okay.
Anyway, 19th birthday. Probably last story for you. My buddy is living on campus at Acadia, and they have this thing there called the Cheatin' Cup.
Cheatin'?
Cheatin' Cup.
Can you spell it?
It's like a combination of the words Chipman and Eaton. Those were the two houses at the time.
Okay.
And they had this concoction of like drink that they made at the residence called Red Death.
Okay. Sounds okay.
It was insane. It was like gin and rum and halls. Like
Halls?
Halls. Cough drops.
The red ones? Probably
The
red.
cherry halls.
Red Gatorade? No?
Yeah.
Red
It was like literally one drink and you're lit.
I get it.
It was insane.
It's college.
And I'll never forget, there was a dude there with the nickname Stinger. And he had like 2 drinks of Red Death and like smashed his head off the brick wall in the hallway. They had to call the ambulance.
Where's that guy now?
I don't know where
That's
Stinger
what I
is.
want to know.
And yeah, anyway.
Stinger.
That was what I was doing actually when I turned 19 on March 25th, 1999.
Crazy.
Or no, was it 2000? 2000.
It all worked out.
Yeah, so far so good, man.
So far, so good.
It all worked out.
Dude, you gotta, thanks for coming. Like, that was, yeah, just, I feel like there's a lot of people that are going to be listening to this that are in a position that want to go ahead in their broadcasting career. And you just kind of went in head first. Nose dive first? Is that what you say? Head first? It's like you just jumped.
Yeah, pretty
you
much.
went.
I don't know what teenage me, what set me off to want to be,
Yeah.
have that set goal. Like, no matter what you want to do, if you set a goal, even if you don't get to that goal, like you stumble your way into some semblance of that goal, and that becomes a career and a life, really. It's amazing.
Yeah. What are you doing the rest of the day?
Buddy, I got 4.5 hours sleep last night because my 2.5-year-old would not go to bed till 10 o'clock.
That was a question I was going to ask you. What
Yeah.
time do you wake up in the morning to go to work for your morning show?
Well, this morning it was 3:45. Nah. 4:10. Nah. 4:15. Nah. 4:20. If I don't get up now, I'm not going to be there. So.
Oh, so what time do you have to be at the office?
Well, on my timesheet it says 4:30, but I've been there 9 years. I strolled in at 4:58.
So then what time are you on? What time are you on air? This guy walks in with confidence. What time do you get on air from the time you get what time is the cameras rolling?
I got Mark on that one. 6. The camera starts rolling at 6.
Okay, so you're there. Okay.
So I'm there an hour before.
And if you've been there for 9 years, I'm pretty sure you know what you're doing.
Yeah, but this morning I'm talking to the president of that conservative party, and I'm like,
This morning you were?
this morning. And you know what? I had Nate Darling on this morning.
How do you get, man, I need that connection. He's
Yeah, I
big
can get you
dogging
that.
me.
I can.
He's a nice guy?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I had Nate on the show with his dad when he was 13 years old.
No way.
That's how long I've been at Global.
Wow.
And he told me in that segment he's going to make the NBA.
No.
Yeah.
Do you have that video clip?
I cannot find it.
You got to get someone on that. It must be in a file somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what you guys are great for. You guys have those file clips that go way back.
I wish we did, but I think someone purged the stuff from 2013 or something. So, yeah, he came on to say he was going to DeMatha, just outside of Washington,
Wow.
leaving Bedford. And, dude played in the NBA on the weekend, so I talked to him about that. He was cool. I think tonight, March 24th, he gets in the game against the Houston Rockets and hits a three-pointer.
All right. That'll be a great clip if that actually happens, and we'll edit that out and put that in.
I hope he does. I'm really pulling for him because, man, the NBA right now, I don't know if you guys talk a lot of basketball on here.
Watch a lot. Don't really talk about it.
It's a
Definitely
three-point
watch it.
shooters league right now. He is just ready for the NBA with that three-point shot he's got.
It's just confidence. You got to get your reps in. It's like you need to be able to miss 20 until you make 30. You know, it's like you got to just shoot, miss, and then that confidence comes.
So I asked him this morning. I actually pre-taped it on Saturday,
Mm.
just before he was going to play LeBron.
The day of the game
The
or the day
day-
before? Must have been the day before.
Well, he made his debut against the Raptors, right? And it was like 3 days later I got him.
Okay,
Like
cool.
last Friday afternoon, I think.
Okay, cool.
He was just getting ready to play the Lakers and the Clippers, which is insane. Which, by the way, NBA players get paid every 2 weeks.
Paid every 2
Yeah,
weeks?
like they have normal. When do you get paid? Oh, the 15th and the 30th.
Direct deposit or check?
I never asked that one. You gotta have him on the pry a little bit more on that one. I finished the interview and I was like,
Yeah.
by the way, Nate, man, I feel like I know you enough to ask you. Do you get paid every 2 weeks, like NBA players? And he's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, every Thursday.
Like imagine making $40 million a year and you get paid every 2 weeks.
Unreal.
It's like Lotto 649 every 15th and last day of the month.
Yeah, that's why I think some of those guys love when they get called up from the G League because, like,
Right.
even though they're sitting on the bench, you still might be able to afford a house at the end of the season.
Well,
you know,
like Nate, he got the call up from the Greensboro Swarm or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he signed a contract for like $500,000
but it's like, is he? For the G League,
for the 2-way contract. So
$500,000 for a 2-way contract.
yeah, and
half.
so
Do you know it's 70,000 for a 2-way contract in the not 70,000, but if you're in the AHL,
yeah.
you're making minimum 70,000, and then if you get called up to the NHL, I think it's minimum 500,000.
Right.
That's a difference. So if you get called up to the NHL and you're on the taxi squad and you're sitting up in the press box and you're making 20 grand every 2 weeks, whatever, like,
So that must be similar to the NBA because he signed it was a $50,000 guaranteed contract. So I guess if he played at Greensboro, it was 50 G's.
wow.
If he got the call up, it was 500. I never asked him about this. I googled that to see how much money he was making just because I was nosy.
Yeah, I might switch to an NBA career
I
maybe.
But does this thing have to end? Because I want to talk a few more minutes about.
Oh, go for it. What time is it?
Before I wanted to go, I want to talk about the skill level of like how good he must be at basketball to make the NBA. Like the skill level from the pros to the minors and like people who thought they might be pros is like unbelievable. Like I had a buddy in my hometown who was good at hockey. He got a tryout with the Moncton Wildcats. And in my hometown it was like, Jonathan Hooper, man, he's going to the NHL. He got a tryout with the Wildcats. He just went to one camp, but he was like the greatest player I'd ever seen in my life. But like the skill level to actually make the NHL, and you played hockey,
Yeah.
right? You played for the Mooseheads, didn't you?
Yeah, 8 games, yeah.
But still, you were there.
Yeah.
So you must be pretty damn good.
Yeah. I've heard of making the NHL is the equivalent, like percentage-wise, of winning the lottery twice. Like that's out of how many kids play hockey in the world. Of how many kids? There's 30 guys on an NHL team. So what's 30 times? How many teams are in the NHL?
Yeah.
32. What's 30 times 32? Can you do that?
30 times 30 is 900.
Oh, I know what the acronym
So
now
not-
was for math. Mental abuse towards humans.
Oh, oh my goodness.
That's what the 9-year-old said math was.
Mental abuse towards humans. That's great.
Yes.
100%. I love that.
I told you I'd remember that.
And anyway, so yeah, the percentage is ridiculous to make it. And yeah, it's a big step.
It's crazy.
And basketball is 10 times more popular than hockey around the world because it's cheaper. All you need is a
Yeah.
ball and a pair of shoes and a hoop. You don't even need a hoop. Just get what are those plastic bins called? The milk carton. Put it up on a wall. That's a hoop.
Yeah.
You can play it in poor countries. So many kids play basketball. And to make it to the NBA from a guy from Bedford, Nova Scotia.
And to think of there's only 12 guys on a team.
That's another thing. There's not 30 guys on a roster. There's 12 guys on a roster.
Yeah.
If you I'm happy you brought that up, Paul. That's an interesting.
I just wanted to. I was talking to Graham actually about that this morning about skill levels of like just the odds of making it, and it's insane.
And that's the thing about Nate right now. It's like, okay, let's say he does have like a 10, 15, 20-year career in the NBA. That guy's going to be able to come back to Bedford and have one of the most successful basketball camps in Canada.
Yeah.
That guy's set for life even if he doesn't play in the NBA.
Yeah.
That, like his leadership and his, I guess his work ethic, however you want to put it, that got him to that point, he's going to inspire a lot of kids.
Pretty crazy.
A lot of kids.
And I hope because Lindell Wigginton is an amazing basketball player too. He's in the Timberwolves pipeline, and
Yeah.
Kendall Tynes plays at Montana State.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he makes it.
Are they still in the tournament? I don't know if they made it.
They never made it.
They didn't make it, no.
No, but there's a shot like much like Nate can prove too. He never even got drafted, right? There's only 2 rounds in the NBA draft. You don't get drafted, it's G League or Europe.
Man.
And so
Yeah.
pretty awesome that he made it.
I want to talk to him, but I want to talk to him in the studio. I can't do it in Zoom. I'm not good at Zoom.
It's tough, man. I do it 10 times a week. Changes the game.
Do you find you've gotten better at it from the first one you've done till now?
I don't know. Every day is different for me, I guess. But I just find there's little nuances as you and I are talking as humans right now, which is the first time I've done this in like a year. But you can
Really?
even tell little nuances of reading your face. Where are you going to go next with this? Oh,
Yeah.
he's going to ask a different question now.
Yeah.
Where were you when you were 19? But you can't do that in Zoom,
Yeah.
especially not on live television. I can't even see the guy's face.
Really?
Just looking into a camera and hearing him in my ear.
Oh no.
So it's kind of crazy,
Oh,
right?
Paul.
I should quit. Forget that global. I'm
Dude.
going to join High Button.
There we go. We got a salary for
Just
you.
just relive the glory days of these old war stories of traveling through America with my maritime camera guys.
We'll give you your own podcast. You can talk to anyone you want.
I don't know, man. Thanks for having me, though.
Dude, you're welcome back anytime.
Yeah.
100%. I love talking to guys that are in the same business as me, but on the other side of the fence, I guess.
Right.
You break it down. And it's like that guy has so many similarities to me. It's the same.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's just he's on the other side.
Yeah.
I love it. So thanks for coming. I appreciate it. I know you're busy. You got all those kids at home. So
Yeah.
taking the time out of your day, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time. Hopefully you enjoyed the baked goods, and I'll be back anytime.
All right. Everyone listening, thank you very much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your week. It's Wednesday, hump day, halfway through. Work hard, have fun. Don't quit. Follow your dreams. You might end up in Pittsburgh eating food. What's the stadium called?
Heinz Field.
At Heinz Field. So there you go. All right, guys, we're out. Peace. Thank you. Dude, that was wicked.
Awesome, man.
Your life's awesome. Your life is insane.